Hello. Did you like
Hi.
that photo of my son and doing his homework when he was about
Is that
grade
your
3?
son? I didn't even know it was your son, that one. Oh, shame. Okay. Did he
I
do
know he
homework?
started. Yeah, we did homework however he felt wherever he wanted to do it and however he was sitting, and we just got it done.
At least it's done, eh?
At least
Whatever
it's
you have
done.
to do. Oh,
Yes,
shame.
exactly. So good evening, everybody. We are talking, it's Philippa Fabry and Leandri Becker here. We're talking about homework this evening. Education Services is your first port of call for any learning or school-related issues. And homework is one of those, what shall we call it? We know that we need to do it, but oh my gosh, sometimes it's a challenge. Let's just put it that way. It's a real challenge. We're both teachers. Leandri and I are both teachers. We've been the ones giving out homework, and I've certainly been the one having to sit and supervise homework. Leandri's turn is coming. When she has kids at school, she's going to have to be doing it herself.
Then I'll understand
So,
better the other part, the other side of the story. Yes.
exactly. So this is part one of a series that we're going to do on homework, some of the homework issues, and we're hoping that through this series we're going to be helping parents discover the hidden benefits of doing homework, because there are definitely benefits to homework. It's not just the fact that teachers do homework or give homework to be nasty or to be unfair or to punish parents. There's a definite reason, and we want to kind of delve into some of the benefits of why homework can become some almost something that as parents you look forward to spending quality time with your kids at the end of the day. It's all about grabbing that time to sit and spend time getting to know your kids better. And I just want to read one of the things that came across my desk today, and parents post, I mean, we're all on Facebook groups and we sort of hear what parents are worrying about and complaining about. And this is something that I read today, so I'm just going to read it quickly. Um, it's, hi, mommies. My child is in grade 1, going to grade 2. He is a very sharp little boy who does well in school. My problem is homework. He is super lazy when it comes to doing homework, and I always have to beg. I help him and sit with him, but more than often it ends in tears. He has a desk away from TV and technology that we sit at, but still he struggles to concentrate with the task at hand. Please, if anyone has advice, that would help. Right?
And isn't this like something that most parents struggle with? It's not as if this mom is doing something wrong. She's got a desk away from everything that's distracting. I mean, what else can you do if your child's not motivated? Where do you go and what do you do?
Exactly. So I suppose we've got to look at kind of some of the things there, that she was mentioning, about the concentration is an issue. He's just not motivated. He's sitting at a desk. All right. And I mean, again, I hope my
For a
son
grade
doesn't
one.
mind me showing the picture, because
Yeah.
I mean, are we sitting at a desk? No, we certainly aren't sitting at a desk. He's writing, but there's certainly no desk involved. But hello, he's doing the work. And if you see where he's sitting, I mean, gosh, okay, this was a good sort of 12 years ago. But he's got kittens that have found their little spot onto his body there, and they're cuddling up. And of course, he doesn't want to move, because if he moves, then the kittens will disappear. So he sat there and he managed to finish his homework without any arguments or any tears, which, normally when he and I do homework together, there's tears, and they were not always his.
Yeah.
Often it was sheer desperation because we needed to just get it done. Okay, but let's just look at some of the mistakes. Leandri, so I think, if we look at parents, right? They're busy. They're getting home from work after a long day. Sometimes kids have been at aftercare and they're only getting home sometimes 5, 6 o'clock. So what would you say? I mean, one of the first things, what would you say in terms of getting home and then straight away trying to get them to get started with homework?
I just think like time management is such an important thing. If I just told Philippa before we came onto this thing, if you have a full day of activities or work or whatever, I don't want to come home after a full day of work and being, forced to concentrate the whole day and then have to do admin after work that's due for tomorrow. So I think just having a busy day, having a busy schedule, and then time management around that, I think that is one of the biggest things. And I mean, we both have been in remedial for many years, and one of the biggest things that all parents come to you with is, can you please just help my child with homework? Because I don't want to do that with him at home, because it's always a fight. It's always frustrating. It's always, and I think one of the biggest mistakes is trying to have especially if they're so little, have your little one doing homework in the evening. And I know most parents can't help that because you've got a busy schedule and you have to get to everything and you have to get dinner done and you have to get bath time and everything. So you don't really have time somewhere else in your day to concentrate on homework or learning.
Yeah, and I also think that, you can kind of do homework while you are having supper or while you are in the bath. I mean, how often, and you would know this as well with remedial, when you are wanting the children to remember sight words, you get them to trace the word on the bath with shaving cream, or, you get them, you might want to trace a letter on their hand while they're in the bath and they've got to identify what letter you traced on their hand and things like that. So you can use supper time, driving home from school, getting ready for supper while you're cooking. They can still be reading. They could still be writing their spelling words. It can happen while you are getting into the routine of now it's supper time, bath time, getting ready for bed. It can be part of that routine. It doesn't have to be, okay, now we have to do homework and nothing else.
No, it's true. And I mean, as you showed on your picture as well, it doesn't have to happen at a desk, sitting quietly, concentrating. It can happen anywhere. Yeah. As long
as the attitude and the readiness to do it is there. Yeah. So the readiness to do it must be there. And I think, again, one of the mistakes that we do, and I was guilty of it as well, you try and squeeze in as many errands on the way home that you can, because now you're in the car and we must pop in at the spa and we must get bread. I quickly need to go to the auto teller and draw some money. I quickly need to drop off this at a friend's house. So you delay homework even more because now you need to do all your errands on the way home. And I think that is also something that maybe we must just be mindful of, making it, drawing it out longer, that getting home and getting started with homework and supper. Our kids, sometimes they're already tired, they're already hungry, they just want to get home. And we want to now fit in all our errands before we get home.
Yeah, that's true.
And snack time. I think also our kids are hungry. So we want to give them something healthy to eat before we again start homework, because you can't do homework while the child is cranky and needing some food.
And overstimulated and tired and frustrated and everything that comes with it. I think it's just important for a child to really understand a concept rather to having something written down on a piece of paper to prove that they do know or understand something. And unfortunately, homework always involves paper and pen. And it's also important for the teacher to see, but I think if you can do homework without If your child is not someone who loves writing or drawing or working at a desk or whatever, as you said, if you can do it past time and that he understands the concepts, then that is important. That's more important than having something written down as proof.
Yeah, and as you say, not everybody enjoys writing. So there's nothing wrong with if you have got a laptop or a computer or a tablet close by and they've got a list of words that they need to learn, let them type the words. They don't have to write.
Yeah.
As long as they understand or as long as they can spell the words, it doesn't matter if they're writing them, bolding them with letters. If you've got letters like Scrabble letters, they can bold the words. They can type the words. They can spell the words aloud if they're older. It doesn't have to always involve a pen and a pencil and a piece of paper.
And if you want to do something more kinesthetically, I mean, in my remedial center, I used to have the alphabet very big on my wall, and then I would give the children a little ball or a beanbag and tell them, okay, we're going to spell the word it, and then they have to throw the I and then the T and say it, and maybe then write it down on a board or whatever. But I mean, there's many different ways that you can enforce new knowledge.
Let's quickly talk about medication, because I think a lot of children who are on concentration medication and are struggling to get homework done, often it's because the medication has now worn off. And we don't want to give a top up. We don't want to now give more medication because they'll struggle to then. Right? So do you have any advice with regards to, the medication issue?
Well, I think with medication, I think people should realize if your child is on a concentration type of medication, whether they've got ADHD or dyslexia or whatever, I think breaking it up into smaller pieces, the homework and the tasks would be better, because, I mean, children who's on medication already struggle to concentrate and to cope with the amounts of information coming from the teacher and from everywhere else, to try to regulate themselves. So I think, I think just obviously not giving them more medication at night, but maybe just breaking it up and making it easier in smaller tasks, rather than putting up, a page full of things that they need to do and trying to get through that. I don't know, what would you say?
Yeah, and using a lot of movement. As you say, throwing a beanbag against, the letters, or if they're doing reading, let them walk around while they're reading. As parents, we're very sometimes a bit strict about, no, sit down now, sit down here and read. But they can walk around and read, or they can lie on the floor and read, or keep the reading for bedtime. When they're, go and lie with them at bedtime when it's now, lights out or getting ready to go to sleep, and do the reading then. So it's about finding the right activity at the right time so that you get the best outcome. It's not going to work to fight and sort of try and make the kids do what you want them to do because you think that's the right way. It's about asking them or almost reading their body language and seeing what are they needing from us as parents in order to, do the homework, which we know is needed for the next day.
And I think,
and my God, yeah, go ahead.
No, I just think that parents should realize that their children has been sitting from 8 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon at a desk. So especially for little kids in the foundation phase, coming from preschool where they could run around and burn a little bit more with their energy, now all of a sudden they're in a structure where they need to sit and they have to concentrate, and maybe that's not within their abilities yet. So coming home and then also being forced to sit down at a desk and a table, that will result into a meltdown or frustration or tears or whatever, fights, because it's not really in a child's nature to sit at a desk. It's not within. I mean, they are created to move and to be around and, get your energy out in different ways rather than just sitting. And for some
Yeah.
children, the sitting at a desk works well. But for most children, and I think especially children on concentration medicine, need that extra stimulation and
Mm,
movement.
mm.
Yeah.
And I think what we also do as parents, and sometimes we don't realize that what we're doing is disadvantaging our children, is we have overscheduled them. So they go to sport,
Mm.
often they go to scouts after that, or there's a sporting activity after school, and then they have to go somewhere else. There's a sibling at another school, so we're taking them from their sport to a sibling, an older sibling sport, and they've got to wait there again. So the afternoons are pretty much full. I mean, we've got so
Mm.
much now that kids are doing, not only sport, but also drama, and there's art. And then sometimes they go to extra therapies like occupational therapy, sports,
Yeah.
speech therapy. And we're trying to push so much into their day. And then we wonder why, when we get home, that they're tired and we're frazzled and they don't have the mental, that there's nothing left. There's nothing left to
Yeah.
give because they've been so busy.
And I mean, as grown-ups as well, if you have to do all of that and your work and then come home and do extra work and it's due for tomorrow, and that happens every single day for weeks on end, I think even for an adult that would be
Mm,
overstimulating and too much. So we can't
mm,
expect for little children, or even like, I mean, a matric child, even someone who's older and supposed to regulate themselves a little bit better. I think overstimulating and having a busy program in the afternoons, and then after that need to sit and study or do homework. I think it's really a lot to expect from a child.
yeah. And especially, grade one and grade two. If homework is taking you longer than, I would say, maximum 45 minutes, I think that is too long. I don't think
Yeah.
schools, pretty sure that schools have got homework policies. And if the homework policy says grade one, 30 minutes, grade two, 45 minutes, grade three, 1 hour, grade 4 to 7, an hour and a half, that is the policy. And if you feel that your homework time is taking longer than what the policy is prescribing, then by all means, write a letter to the teacher in the homework diary and just tell them. Just say, I'm struggling. I just want you to know I'm doing my best, but this is happening. I need your help, or, give me advice on what I should be doing. Communication with the
Yeah.
teacher is so important.
I think many parents also feel, that's what I found in my remedial practice, that they don't understand the value, they don't get the value of homework and the amounts of homework that children need to do. So I do
Mm,
understand that we get to a point where they're in grade 4 and they need to start um, preparing for exams and tests. So self studying is very important. But I think if your child is in foundation phase and they do understand the concept, but doing homework makes them afraid of school, or afraid of learning, or afraid of reading, or afraid of whatever it is, mathematics, or whatever it is that you guys are doing. If that is going to result into more trauma and tears, I think have a conversation with the teacher. Ask them if there's an alternative way of doing homework instead of doing all this paperwork, just as proof. So rather, I think especially in foundation phase, if you can get children excited about reading and excited about learning, then
mm,
half the battle is won for when they go to grade 4 and they need to start studying for tests. But
mm,
unfortunately, children who struggle and who's got learning disabilities, and parents sometimes don't even know about the learning disabilities that their children might have, whether it's a visual
mm,
thing, whether it's a, whatever it might be, dyslexia, ADHD, maybe it's just feeling uncomfortable in the learning environment, whatever it might be, that's going to come out in homework time when they are at home, when they feel comfortable, when they feel that, they can express what they're feeling. Um, and I think if you see the red flags of, listen, my child now all of a sudden doesn't want to do reading anymore because they feel like they're not getting it right, then you stop and you seek rather help and ask the teacher what to do, rather than forcing a child to read or to do maths or to do whatever at home because it's required from the school. to do.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, you're just going to sort of develop a negative attitude towards it. I mean, let's face it, homework is part and parcel of school up to grade 12. So it's about developing those healthy habits. And next time we do a webinar, or the next part of this sort of course, we'll be talking about some of those important habits that if kids learn them now, it helps for later down the road when they are in high school, and certainly when they're in tertiary, and even more so when they start work. The habits that you learn now will set you up for success in the future. The last thing I wanted to say, which I think we touched on, but we might not have gone into too deeply, is the whole issue about, as parents, sometimes we're perfectionists ourselves. And so the child's product isn't perfect. And if it's not perfect, we can't just let it go. We want it to be perfect. And sometimes we want our answer, not their answer. Or we want our work, not their work, because maybe their product is not up to our standard. So we must also just be careful about putting too much pressure on our children when they are little and they're learning and they're developing. Let things go, let it be wrong. We don't have to correct everything. As well with reading. We don't have to correct them every word, right? We can let them read and make a couple of mistakes and possibly, do the paired reading where you're reading along and they're following you, or let them read, then you read. Don't correct every single word, because I don't think that's building their self-esteem and their confidence enough if we are wanting it to be perfect. And so we tend to over-correct rather than facilitate.
No,
so that's the last.
nobody.
I think we've listed a whole lot of mistakes, a whole lot of issues, but I almost want to say that is almost the most important, is as parents, we've got to let our kids make mistakes.
Yeah. And I just think that parents should realize that nobody likes being corrected the whole time. Every time you make a mistake, if you try your best and you make a mistake and someone keeps on telling you, no, it's not right. No, it's not right. I do understand you want to teach them correct from the beginning, and that's great, but there's ways to do it. As Philippa just said, maybe do paired reading, maybe let them read and then you read the story afterwards, whatever way. But I think just being negative all the time, I know as parents, they're also frustrated and they're also tired and they also need to get things done. And maybe they've got more than one child to get through the day. My husband's assistant just told me in the car, when she gets home 5 o'clock, then she needs to help her one child who's dyslexic. She needs to read all his work and help him write everything. And then after that, they only do the grade 1 child's work. She loves homework. She says by 10 o'clock at night, then they're finished with homework. So in between they had supper and she had to bath the baby and do everything else. So I do understand that you get frustrated, but I think your frustration as a parent should never influence a child's ability to learn.
Yeah. And we've got a couple of comments, so we'll close with just discussing some of these comments that have come through. And I think this is quite important. How many times or how often are we with our kids, but we're not with our kids because we're on our phones? And I think it's just to be mindful that when you have that quality time with your child, it's 10 minutes, it's 15 minutes, it's half an hour. Let that be quality time. Put the screens away, put the phone away, and just be in their world, be in, a circle together without technology. So have that quality time. Don't let the cell phone be a distraction. I think that is so important. Definitely. It's quality time with your kids. Yes, it's homework, but it can also be a quality, positive experience. And then Ayanda is saying, I hate homework so much. While in primary school, there was so much homework. We would sleep at 11 o'clock. We still hate it. And we are in grade 8. So there again, you know, I
Yeah.
think if homework is taking longer than what the school policy is stipulating, I think there is something that, you know, needs to happen. We need to compromise somewhere along the line. I think primary school kids shouldn't be going to bed at 11 o'clock at night because of doing homework.
Mm-mm.
I think
Not
8
at all.
o'clock, 9 o'clock at the most, you know. So again,
Yeah.
just communicate with the teacher, find out, you know, how you can reduce the homework or somehow get the
Try
routine at
to.
home, you know, easier.
And I think for high school students, if they can try to do homework or most of their homework in class after their class has been done, that would also just minimize a little bit of the extra stress of the homework load. Yeah.
Mm.
Make it an
Yeah, there's
enjoy.
somebody saying it's so
Really.
true. Make it an enjoyable event. Make it fun. You know, again, it doesn't have to be punishment. You know, kids shouldn't see homework as punishment. We should be able to see homework as quality time that we are doing an activity. It could be a game. It could be, you know, playing a game, throwing a ball, bouncing a ball, doing a hula hoop, playing snap, bingo. Make it fun. It doesn't have to be seen as a, you know, just another school activity.
Yeah, true.
So in closing, is there anything you want to close with just before we say goodbye?
I just think that parents, I know you try your best and you do whatever you think is right. But I think, yeah, I think just try to understand your little one and the needs that they have and the way that they're learning, and try to support that instead of just trying to rush to complete stuff and get it done. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It can't just be a check off thing, you know. Check it off and then sign the book and get nothing out of it. There has to be more than, there's more to that. There has to be more to that.
Definitely.
So next time, I think we're going to be trying to do one every Wednesday, at least for the rest of February. So in part 2, we're going to be talking a little bit about the healthy habits, and we will be referring to Stephen Covey's 7 habits. And stay tuned. Come and join us next Wednesday again at 8 o'clock. Same time, same place. Join the Education Services group if you haven't joined already. And yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday. Leandri and myself will be waiting
Yes.
for you at 8 o'clock. Thank you
Thank
for joining
you.
me and have a great week. Yeah.
Thank you. You too. Have a
It's been
good
lovely.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.